Everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation. Today we've got a special episode. It's a topic we haven't really covered before, and we're diving into the world of public speaking, storytelling, and the art of selling from the stage. Our guest today is on a mission to help 100,000 people share their unique experiences with the world. He believes that everyone has a story worth telling, and that storytelling from the stage can be powerful without feeling like a sales pitch. I'm thrilled to welcome Andrew Chesnutt, a passionate advocate for the authentic public speaking and the creator of the Keynote Architect Framework. Andrew is not only a speaker, but a guide who helps others find their voice and build genuine connections with audiences. From developing innovative techniques to overcoming stage fright to helping speakers feel confident on stage, Andrew has dedicated his career to transforming the way people present and connect. Andrew, I'm excited about this as someone who's done some public speaking, hits a conference or two every year. I think this could be really good. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here, Jail. I really appreciate it. Always love spreading what I've learned to many people. Again, I'm trying to hit that 100,000 goal. So thank you for
Yeah,
helping
no,
me with
no,
that.
I love
Appreciate
it.
it.
You won't meet anyone who can ever appreciate an audacious goal more than me. So I'm excited to dig into that a little bit too. Before we do, though, maybe tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what led you to the company you're at now, the role you're in now.
So it starts about 20 years ago. I was in a field of training, like corporate training. I had just moved back to my hometown of Buffalo, New York, and this was supposed to be my future previous employer. It was a call center, supposed to be really, something just to get job, just to work and do my thing. About 3 months into that, applied to be a trainer. I was 3 days late with my application and still got the job. And I found out I loved teaching. I was a TA in college. It was something that I just came from. I loved being up, spreading knowledge to other people. Fast forward a number of years, I started working with a client doing keynotes because that's a small part of the learning and development world is keynotes and helping people to speak. We're really good at taking a huge amount of information and breaking it down into bullet points that are really easy to understand. So taking this mess of information and breaking it down into an order, and that's really what designing a keynote is about. So I started doing that and absolutely found my passion. I found something that I loved doing, I could do easily, and that really helped me to better myself and to build these goals of helping people to speak. I have a huge backstory with not feeling like I was heard, so therefore now I need to be able to. We'll get into that later if we need to, but helping people to spread their specific wisdom as entrepreneurs, and that's pretty much all I work with. We're entrepreneurs at this point. We have this interesting role in society that I think a lot of people don't see, and that is we are the ones that are crazy enough to change the world.
Yeah,
And there's not many of
absolutely.
us. We're those ones with those wild ideas, those kids that poked button going, let's see what happens with no idea about the consequences. We're the ones that really are here to innovate and to make things better for people. And it's a really misunderstood role, I think. And I think it's something that we need to be able to show why we do it. And so that's how I help entrepreneurs is to be able to go into to spread that special world of wisdom, that special version of crazy they have to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. And what was it you said? My future previous employer.
My
I
future
think that
previous employer.
that is a phrase I'm gonna have to find a way to use somewhere in the future. That's fantastic. I do, again, the audacious goal, 100,000 people sharing their stories. I'm curious, what was the inspiration? How are you doing? How far are you? And what's your plan to actually hit that mark?
So yeah, so that was just a random goal one day. Again, we're all a little bit crazy. We want to start taking on these goals, kind of being a bit of an overachiever. I like these huge numbers that I may or may not get to. We're going to try. So it's been kind of a couple hundred at this point, so it's not too many, but enough.
Yeah, it's a start.
It's a start. But it's one of those things where I wanted to quantify it. I didn't just want to say I'll help as many as I can. I wanted it to be that big, scary goal that I wasn't quite sure how I was going to make it work, but I was going to make it work and got it from a friend of mine who does something similar to what I do. She's also a speaker coach and she has this goal as well. And it's like, okay, well, I can do that too. So let's quantify this. Let's make this big goal and try to get as close to as I can. And every decision I make is this going to get me closer to my 100,000?
Well, I think, having that destination, that goal, that point in the future that you're aiming for, it provides clarity, right? I think Simon Sinek has a talk that he gives. I think it's the Start With Why, where he talks about if you have people who have no destination, they become process obsessed. If you have people with a really clear destination, a real clear direction, they become value obsessed. And I think that's one of the reasons I gravitate so much to goals like this is I feel like they're such an effective tool to become value obsessed, typically for your customers. And I love it. So I love hearing it. I think the other thing I'm really curious about is this architect framework, the Keynote Architect Framework. Talk to me a little bit about that. What is it? How does it work? What do people need to know?
So again, I'm going towards this 100,000 goal. And in order to do that, I'm probably going to have a team to do this. It's not just me. And so I wanted to do is I come from a line of speakers. My grandfather was an amazing speaker. My mom is an amazing speaker. I have been a speaker for years too. I've done a bunch of things. And so for me, it just came naturally. It's like asking somebody, show your kids how to, for those with kids out there, showing your kids how to tie their shoes, like teaching them how to do it. It's really difficult because you're so good at it. You have to
Muscle
step
memory.
back. You can go from point A to point F in a single bound. For them, you've got to fill in B, C, D, and E, and it takes a lot. I found that happening when I was developing keynotes is I would go in, I would do it. It just came, it happened. But I needed to scale this a bit. And I wanted to help people who may not be able to work one on one with me. I wanted to be able to have a system that said, hey, you need to do this talk. Here's a framework to help you to, again, organize that chaos and be able to help you go forward. And so that's where I came up with the Keynote Architect blueprint.
Awesome. No, that I think having a framework is a great way to learn how to articulate what you do.
Yes.
So I love that. And I think you said earlier, to go back to something you said earlier, it's this idea of not necessarily pitching, but connecting. And I think the reason I go back to that is when you have a really clear destination or goal, when you have a framework that you can use to get there, you almost don't have to pitch anymore. And it can really become about the connection. And in this sphere of entrepreneurs that we've been talking about, I wonder how much more success entrepreneurs would have if they stopped thinking about pitching and just started thinking about connecting.
It goes back to that book that you're reading, the Simon Sinek Start With Why. I'm rereading that book because it's really brilliant. And it's like you're not selling a product, you're selling why you do it. So I didn't tell you the story about here's my keynote blueprint and here's the framework that I use and this and is. I told you why I do this. I have this mission. This is why I have this. And when you start with that, you start to create a bond with people. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, guys are kind of bad about this too. It's just our thing. We're very
Yeah.
much into the trenches bullet point stuff, but for us, it's you're not connecting with a person. There's a ton of speaker coaches out there. There's a ton of people that do what I do. I am very much not unique in that role. People aren't going to come to me because I'm the only one in that position. They're going to come because they connect with Andrew. They want Andrew to write their keynotes because they have a specific connection with me. They like the way I've done it. They like some of the clients I've had. That's really what they want to come in is they want to, I have this mission. They want to help with that mission. That's what they want to come to. And that's why we start with the story behind it. We're wired to learn through stories. It's actually physiologically in our brain. This is what happens when your mom's a
Yeah.
neuropsychologist. Does she, stuff like this? There's cells in our brain that get triggered by emotions, and that's all that they're triggered by. Not triggered in the bad way, triggered in a good way, but they light up when emotions happen. And what happens is you create this bond with that. We're hardwired to do it.
Yeah.
Really cool trick. This is kind of a fact that might be interesting and kind of reinforces why stories are really good. If you've I want you to think back to the time when you heard a really good story, and there could be World War III going on outside, and you are right locked into this story, and you're just listening, and you are absolutely on the edge of your seat, listening to every single word. There's an interesting physiological change that has happened. Your brain waves have synced with the speakers.
Right.
It creates this mastermind. And I don't care what's going on, you're now going to connect with that person. And the chances of you buying from this person or wanting to be part of this person's tribe just
Right.
exponentially higher because you now know, like, and trust them. And so there's a
Absolutely.
huge power behind stories.
Well, and I would even take that one step further is it's not even about that relationship. It's about connecting your tribe to their tribe. I think, networking gets a raw deal when it comes to being viewed as like some sort of transactional thing. But I think there's a lot of power to networking for connection because not everything has to be about, am I going to buy from Andrew? Is Andrew going to buy from me? It's going to be about, I know now Andrew knows who I am. He trusts me. And when he goes and talks to Jane Doe, he now has an opportunity to say, "Oh man, that sounds like something that JL would know a lot about. Have you met JL?" And like, that's the power that I see in connection over pitching. And I think that's part of what I love about what you're saying.
I heard somebody once say, and I've seen this a lot in networking events. There's two types of networkers. The ones that you guys have, where it's like you're being pitch slapped. That's really what it is, and that's all that happens. You're being pitch slapped, and that more comes from a desperation side. You're not going to connect with anyone through that. I'd rather go do cool stuff with my friends. I actually have a hoodie that says that on it. I do cool stuff with
Oh
my
yeah.
friends,
I
and
just want to see
building
how
that.
AI translates or transcribes this conversation at this point now. But no, I agree completely.
Isn't it like when you're typing and it's no, it's never ducking. Yeah. But still, it's one of those things where it's that connection. And trust me, I've done this wrong. I've done the pitch slap thing. I know where it comes from. Once I switched it from that to storytelling to let's go do some cool, cool stuff together. The saying's a little different. Let's go with stuff. But, it's one of those things. Let's go do that cool thing together and work as a team and match tribes. And that's really what I like to do. And that's what I'd like to do when I'm doing a presentation for somebody.
No, I love it. Now, I mean, as you've gone into this industry, I'm just going back and now thinking through all the different times I've pitch slapped someone or just totally fobbed a presentation or something along those lines. What are you seeing these days as some of the significant challenges that speakers are facing? What is it? What do people need to look out for? What are they not aware of?
Volume. There are a ton of speakers now. There's a ton of speaker coaches coming in. And so there's this mass. I mean, Grant Cardone just did his Great American Speak Off, where, you'll there, it's basically a competition to be on a stage with Grant Cardone. And there are so many stories out there. It's making sure that yours is unique, or there's so many speeches out there that it's making sure yours is unique. A lot of the ones that I hear it's a nice story, but it doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't leave me with anything. I don't feel edified when I'm done with it. It's more, hey, I've got this kind of cool story. Okay. But it hasn't really inspired. It hasn't done you
Call
could
to
tell
action.
that they're just kind of going out and getting started. And so for you, it's going to be a matter of making sure that you're able to put yourself forward, that you're able to bond with people. Let's go back to why. That's why you do it. That's why you use stories, and that's why you talk about why. I had a client of mine, and it's funny, he does banking. So like the most boring thing in the world. The keynote that I did for him was really difficult because it's hard. How do you make life insurance sound cool and sexy? It's not it's not easy. We
Yeah.
started with why. He grew up poor. Dad was an alcoholic. Parents were divorced. He never had much. That was his why. And it was funny, he didn't want to be that vulnerable. And I really pushed him to do that because people needed to hear that, and they help him bond with him. It's really become a connection point. It's this, he was always ashamed of it when in fact a lot of people have this experience. It's not unusual. But people needed to hear that this is why I do it. I grew up poor, parents were divorced, mom always struggled. Here's why I do it. And that is the number one connection point. And that's the part that makes selling insurance such a good thing. His company is in about the mid seven figures right now after about 5 years. So it's worked.
Yeah. No, and that's great. And I think vulnerability is another one of those topics that gets you either love it or you hate it. And there's a lot of controversy around it. And I think Brene Brown has done a really great job of focusing that conversation. But I do think there's a balance there, like where you can be vulnerable enough to connect without being so vulnerable that you lose credibility or you push people away or any number of the other things there. How do you detect that right moment of balance?
So it's very intuitive. And so there's not really a formula that I have for getting that balance about being it. If you are inauthentic or you are telling somebody else's story or you're projecting something, everyone will call it. So it must be an authentic story. It must be yours. It must not be the candy coated version. It must be the accurate version of what happened.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happened. A lot of people don't want to share those stories because they think they're going to look bad. I will guarantee you're not going to unless it's really horrific and there's like murders and jail time, then maybe let's tweak it a little.
Yeah.
Unless you stole millions of dollars from somebody, then let's tweak it a little. But honestly, unless it's something really egregious, your experience is not quite as out of other people's experience levels as you might think. Go tell that story. There's somebody in an audience that needs to hear that story. There's somebody that's going to resonate with it, and that's your key person, and those are the people that you're going to help the most with. So honestly, it's pushing those boundaries a little bit. Don't overshare. You want to go way out into things, but tell the story, tell the parts that you I don't want to say failed at, but tell the things that you did wrong and how you overcame it. I have a something in my framework that I call the mountain, sure, but peak sequence. The mountain is, this is that thing I had to climb. The Sherpa is the thing or person that helped me to climb it, and the peak is the view from the top. If you use this story arc, it really helps you to be able to tell that story, making sure that while you do this, you're authentic and you're concise with what you're saying. Use analogies, like when I say things like pitch slapped or future previous employer, you're going to remember those. So stuff like that
Absolutely.
helps too, to be able to bond with people. But yeah, it's mainly making sure that you have that clear, authentic story. Go over and over it again. Go over that with somebody in your life who knows enough to be able to give you feedback on it. Maybe not a family member, maybe a close friend, somebody maybe once removed. Go over it over and over again, review it with them, make sure you have it dialed in, and make sure it's authentic, and make sure that they feel free to call you out if they need to. Like, no,
Right.
that's not true. I did this with that client. He was saying a couple of things like, no, 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 that's not
Yeah.
authentic. That's not what happened. Yeah.
Well, and getting feedback, that's a whole nother topic. We'll have to save that for another time, but
Sure.
that's another challenge.
Yes.
Now, Andrew, since we do have to start wrapping up, if someone is looking to connect with you, get some help with public speaking, I know you have a giveaway that you mentioned earlier, so I don't want to miss that. But two, what are some of the other ways people can connect with you and kind of start a dialogue?
Best ones are Instagram. So it is Andrew Chesnutt. It's spelled weird. My family was they wanted me to make very sure I knew who was detail oriented. So it is spelled Chesnutt. They had a really sick, weird sense of humor, but that's what they did. So the T in the middle goes at the end. Andrew Chesnutt on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn. Take a look. You can also go to my website, goncls.com. It's a great place to take a look. And yeah, the giveaway. I have a workbook that I've come up with that will help you to build a webinar. This is a way you can use Keynotes to help generate revenue. I've helped a number of clients do this, use this exact technique. So if you go to the website, I believe it'll be in the show notes. If you go to that website, enter your email address, I will send you that ebook that will get you up and going. I think it's 25 pages. So it's pretty comprehensive about here's the things you need to do to get this webinar up and going and to be able to monetize it.
We'll be sure to get that link in the details for the episode. I love that perspective, and I'm a big fan of reusing content in a variety of ways. So I think that's really powerful. Andrew, I've enjoyed every minute of this conversation. It's been fantastic. Really grateful you could make it. For everyone else who's here all the way to the end, I really would love to hear about your speaking experiences in the comments. Take a moment, let us know how it goes, how it went. If you've got one coming up, feel free to promote it, but we'd love to hear about it. We'd also love to hear what you thought about the episode. Maybe even more importantly, though, if you know someone who's about to be speaking somewhere or who would love to learn how to speak, share this episode with them, share the value that Andrew has, and make the introduction. I think that's a great way to pay it forward, to help Andrew's message get out and to reach that 100,000 people help. So take a moment, leave a comment, share the episode. Andrew, thanks again. And for everyone else, we'll see you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.
So thank you so much, Chal. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.